dedicated to fostering diversity and driving essential changes in one of the most pivotal industries. With a wealth of experience, she has significantly impacted the professional landscape by championing inclusivity and broadening opportunities through her visionary initiative, Black Women in Clinical Research, also known as BWICR. Then there's also Black Men in Clinical Research, known as BMICR, and Minorities in Clinical Research, known as MICR. Danielle's efforts have opened doors for countless professionals and cultivated a supportive and empowering community within the clinical research sector. Under her leadership, these organizations have grown exponentially, boasting a combined membership of over 15,000 active participants. Her work is rooted in the mission to educate, empower, and support and help Black women, men, and minorities thrive in clinical research industry. Through BWICR, BMICR, and MICR, Danielle provides a platform for members to enhance their knowledge, expand their networks, and access invaluable resources tailored to their unique challenges and aspirations. She is committed to creating a more inclusive environment where diversity is celebrated and every individual contributions are recognized. Danielle's dedication extends beyond professional development. She emphasizes the importance of for personal growth and well-being. Her initiatives include comprehensive support systems addressing mental health, leadership development, and work-life balance, ensuring members are equipped to excel professionally as well as personally. Driven by passion for equity and a vision for more diverse and dynamic clinical research industry, Danielle Mitchell, she continues to inspire and lead change. Her unwavering commitment to her mission has established her as a transformative figure in the field, paving the way for future generations of diverse clinical research professionals. Please put your hands together. Let's welcome Danielle Mitchell to the stage. What's up, Danielle?
Good morning. Thank you. Thank you for the introduction, and thank you for having me.
Listen, I'm blessed that you and I were able to connect. I love reading your background because your background sounds like super impressive. I'm like, all right, so there's so many different ways that we can go with this. You're helping men, you're helping women, you're creating opportunities for more minorities that look like us. And newsflash, if you're just listening to this, I need to point out that Danielle, she's a Black female, extremely accomplished, as well as, I'm a Black male. So the fact that we're on here collaborating together, talking about the impact that she's making within the clinical research field is extremely dope. And I'm extremely happy to have you on this podcast. So once again, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
So listen, I need to get to know you. I want to vibe with you. Introduce yourself personally.
Yes, so my name is Danielle Mitchell. I am from Detroit, Michigan, and I'm the CEO and founder of Black Women in Clinical Research. I graduated from the Clark Atlanta University, and I started off wanting to go to medical school. And when I decided not to go to medical school, there weren't a lot of career options at the time. Some of my career choices was working in a lab or becoming a teacher. And I decided that I wanted to make a greater impact. So I first found out about clinical research at a pool party. I ran into a college classmate who told me she gets to work from home, she gets to travel, and I told her, how do I get started? And I just remember there being so many challenges with trying to get into the clinical research industry.
Okay, so if we're putting a timestamp on this, how far back are we talking about where you attended this pool party?
Well, this was probably 2016. Yes.
Okay. All right. So we're talking about at least 9 years from where we are today, where this journey began. All right. So that's a little bit about you personally. What about professionally?
So professionally with Black Women in Clinical Research, we have started an organization to support and to help Black women thrive in the clinical research industry. So we have over 20,000 Black women, Black men, and minorities that are in the network. And so we have conferences, we have a mentorship program. We want to give our members the tools and resources needed in order to be successful. So we have resume reviews, interview prep, mock interviews, career coaching, LinkedIn summaries. We want to help our community to be successful and to learn about these careers in clinical research.
Listen, you said a lot already, so there's a lot to go on. I didn't even know that there was a network like what you have where it sounds like a one-stop shop. I can go connect with you. There's, over 20,000 other people who resemble me, who's interested and have a similar passion as me in order to advancement within clinical research. But 20,000 folks that look like us, I mean, is the demand that high, or you're just really good at marketing?
No, the demand is that high. Clinical research is a secret industry. So a lot of times when people find out about clinical research, like myself, immediately interested and almost in a sense a little angry that I know for me that I didn't know about clinical research in my undergrad, and that there are so many things that you can do under the clinical research umbrella. So my grandmother had breast cancer, and I was able to become a breast cancer clinical research coordinator. So I got to help other Black women with breast cancer. So it really merged my love for science and research together.
Listen, it's already super interesting, and I'm going to go down some of these different misconceptions that your industry and other people that look like you face. But before we get into that, a lot of people, they want to tap in here. They want to listen to you. They want to look at you, and they want to say, you know what, she looks like me. Her story sounds similar to me. But I'm interested in facing or understanding some of those challenges or setbacks that you face progressing your career within the industry. So can you shed some light on your hustle journey?
Absolutely. So every clinical research role that I applied to, I was rejected. When I first decided to start my journey in the clinical research industry. So this wasn't easy at all. I thought to myself, why am I trying so hard to get into an industry that doesn't want me? So I, began to think that I had to change my mindset, because I had went through every other career under the biology umbrella. I did microbiology. I did clinical genetics. So I told myself this has to work and I'm going to get into this industry. So I went on clinicaltrials.gov and I began to cold call the clinical research sites and ask them, can I shadow? Can I do an internship? And it just so happened that one of the clinical trial sites was a Black-owned clinical trial site. And I remember calling them up out the blue and saying, can I be a part of your organization? And they immediately, had me come in. I interviewed and I asked them what the next steps are. And they said, you have an internship. So to me, I thought everything was so difficult, but I don't think people really understand the power of networking and just putting yourself out there. And so with that created that foundation that I needed in order to start in clinical research. But that position was unpaid. So I had to do Uber Eats, DoorDash, Amazon Flex. I remember I used to do my internship from the morning, and then afterwards I would go and do my second job, sometimes all the way into midnight. And I remember, this one time where I was in my car and I was crying and I was saying to myself, is this worth it? I'm spending all day in an unpaid internship to turn around to do, food delivery just to gain clinical research experience. But I'm so glad that I was persistent, because by me being persistent, that helped me land a role in clinical research. And I know, a lot of times when we think about our career journey, we don't think about some of the pivots that we have to do. Right. So my internship did not turn into an immediate role in Atlanta. So I had to move back home with my parents and start over, because no one would hire me. And this was even after my internship. No one would hire me in Atlanta. So I had to pack up, move my independence. I felt like I was taking a step back by moving home to Detroit. But little did I know that this was setting me up for success. So I moved back home and I ended up landing a role in clinical research a month after I moved back to Detroit, Michigan.
Oh, wow. So your story is already inspirational within itself. So what I picked up on, you applied for multiple schools. You didn't get in. You decided, you know what, let me go directly to the research. You was able to connect with a Black clinical organization where you basically just direct messaged them and said, you know what, I'm interested in being an intern. They responded back to you and said, well, come on down. And so you jumped on board. You started navigating that path. And then afterwards, you still realized, you know what, I still don't have an employment and I have to make another pivot. I got to go back and live with my parents, but nobody wants to go back and live with their parents, right? But it worked out for you. So a lot of that was talking, it sounds like resilience, right? We're talking about the pivot, things like that. But what made you decide that, let me just reach out directly to them as opposed to just accepting, no for an answer and then doing something different?
I don't take no. I've never, and I'm just thinking about in all areas of my life, I've never taken no as the final answer. So no matter what obstacle that I have faced, I'm going to give it my all. And I'm going to think outside of the box to see maybe is there an opportunity. So I've done that, throughout my life, and I've never given up. And especially for, when it comes to my dreams and my passion, a no for me is fuel. And it motivates me to find a different path. And so I always tell, people to be persistent. Don't take no as a final answer. It could be no, but it's not no forever. And there's always someone that will be willing to give you a helping hand if you just show your passion and show, your intention.
And you took all that motivation, you landed in clinical research. I mean, you're coined the clinical research queen. So we know that you know what you're talking about, right? So you took all that, you expanded within the industry, and now you created a network of 20,000 plus strong who can vibe with one another, who can learn with one another, who can create opportunities with one another, who can network with one another. How did that come about?
So I didn't want anyone to face some of the same challenges with getting in. When you are rejected for multiple roles, you start feeling like you failed in life, and you start looking at yourself saying, what is wrong with me? And I didn't like the way that I felt when I started in this clinical research path. So once I was actually able to land my role in clinical research, I went to an investigator meeting, which is a meeting where they're talking about the study. Everyone that is going to be conducting the clinical trials is invited to a kickoff study to talk about the study. So I remember going to this investigator meeting. In a room of hundreds of people, there were only 2 Black women, including myself. So it really made me question whether or not there was a lack of diversity in the room or if there was a lack of diversity in the industry. And so after this investigator meeting, I went back home and decided to start a Facebook group. I never imagined from starting this Facebook group that this would turn into a company. I didn't even think that anyone would think that this was a good idea. And at the time, I told myself, well, if 100 people can join my Facebook group, then I'm doing great. Right. And fast forward, that Facebook group has over 10,000 people in it. So I really knew that we had something that resonated with a lot of people. A lot of people wanted to get involved in clinical research, but just didn't really know how to navigate that. And so we've helped over 3,000 people receive jobs in the clinical research industry, from our resources, from our connections to the CROs and the pharmaceutical companies. So you're not applying for roles expecting and hoping for the best. You're applying for roles knowing that you are a Black woman in clinical research member, and these companies have partnerships with us. So you also have access to their emails. So you no longer have to apply for roles, I would say, blind.
Right. So it's almost like a direct contact. We can bypass the applicant tracking systems, and I can go right to the source and say, hey, I'm making myself available for an opportunity. What do you have? How can we partner together and collaborate to grow? Right.
Yes.
And that's pretty awesome. So you had mentioned that it was almost 9 years ago, it was at a pool party that someone kind of introduced you to, the whole clinical research realm. I was wondering before then, like, what was those aspirations as a kid? What were you thinking that you wanted to be when you grew up?
I wanted to be a doctor. I helped deliver my little sister at 15 years old. So I told myself that I was going to be an OBGYN. That was my goal. And I remember I took a genetics class, and my teacher told me, he told all the students, if you do not have a 4.0 GPA, then you need to get your McDonald's application ready.
Wow.
So that really, and I knew I wasn't a 4.0 student.
Right,
so
right.
I started thinking, I'm like, okay, so that kind of made me start thinking, okay, should I be thinking about other positions? And so, looking back, hindsight, I probably shouldn't have let that teacher steer me from being a doctor. my husband tells me I still should pursue medical school as well. So, you never know. I might go to medical school
Yeah.
and get that medical degree. But that was my passion of mine. I wanted to deliver babies.
Wait, you know what? You said something huge, and I'm not going to gloss over this because people need to hear this story. You said you delivered your sister?
Yes. So at 15 years old, and this is the thing, because my family knew that I wanted to be an OBGYN.
Right.
Everyone started to invite me to the delivery room. So I was present for all of my cousins. I saw all of my cousins I saw them born. And so they had, like, my family was like, okay, you want to be an OBGYN? I was in there holding my aunt's foot and helping her. And so they really helped me see if this is the career that I wanted to do. But yes, I cut my sister's umbilical cord. I was helping my mom and calming her down and telling her to push, and just seeing that from a different perspective. And so I'm grateful for my family for allowing me to be in the delivery room.
You're right, because not many families are going to let kids underage within the delivery room, let alone touch on your body while you're delivering a baby. So what was that experience like for you firsthand?
So it was like my mom had my sister so quickly. I just couldn't understand how, my mom made it look easy.
Okay.
And I just remember that after delivering my little sister and holding her in my arms, saying that, okay, this is it. I'm gonna be an OBGYN. I can do this.
Wow, that's interesting. I would never thought to allow a 15-year-old into an operating room to deliver a kid, but that's really cool that you were able to get that experience, and then also learn from it. I'm interested in knowing, just for clarification, what do you do today? Help me understand exactly what you do today.
So today I am meeting with CROs and pharmaceutical companies to discuss partnerships. I'm speaking at different conferences, different events. I'm planning meetups. We have a meetup happening in about 2 or 3 weeks in New York. So I'm bringing together clinical research professionals. I am behind the scenes a lot of times, making sure the day-to-day operation with Black women in clinical research is running smoothly. I am promoting our BWICR conference as well. And so it is just making sure that everything is running. Like, you see Black women in clinical research,
Right.
but I am behind the scenes making sure that everything is running smoothly with my team, and making sure that we are doing our career services, handling any type of issues that may arise. So I am just making sure that the engine is running.
Listen, if you've never looked at her LinkedIn page, you just go and look at like all of her accomplishments, like where she's at. Like it's packed. All the speaking engagements that you've done over the years, like you said, the conferences. Your LinkedIn page looks like a professional journey that people want to follow, in a similar path. So I would advise you, as quick as you can, check out her LinkedIn page, connect with her, and make sure that, this is a person that you use as a resource to help your career get to that next level. So if you're just joining, welcome to Health Hustle Chronicles, where the grind meets growth in the world of healthcare. We're connected with Danielle Mitchell. She's a clinical research professional, dubbed the clinical research queen. She's dedicated to fostering diversity and driving essential changes in one of the most pivotal industries. With a wealth of experience, she has significantly impacted the professional landscape by championing inclusivity and broadening opportunities through her visionary initiatives, which are Black women in clinical research, Black men in clinical research, and minorities in clinical research. We're just digging into a little bit of her background, her professional journey, and then, things that she does for her business that also helps you out as well. So I would love to know, we all know, looking at us as Black people, I don't want to volunteer for a clinical research. That's not my thing. But I'm fascinated by the idea that there's a lot of people that look like me that are actually behind the scenes helping navigate that industry. So I would love to know, what are some of the pitfalls, some of the misconceptions that the industry faces as a whole, or we face as a people in navigating this industry?
So when it comes to clinical research, a lot of times we think that Black people don't want to participate in clinical trials.
Right.
But that is so far from the truth. And just from going out to different community events, the problem is that Black people are not being asked to participate in clinical trials.
Okay.
I recently looked up a study where they said 80% of Black people said that they would participate in clinical trials. And close to 80% of the people said that they had never been asked to participate in a clinical trial. And so, when it comes to, because I worked in clinical research and I used to ask my principal investigator who would oversee the clinical trials, why are our numbers so low? Why are our accrual numbers really low? And he would tell me that because he sees so many patients a day, he forgets to ask people about participating in clinical trials. And so what I realized when it comes to clinical research, a lot of the organizations are understaffed. A lot of the organizations are either not participating in clinical trials. And so I really tell, especially my community, that when it comes to clinical research and clinical trials, you have to advocate for yourself. You have to become a doctor within, your own health, because a lot of times they are not introducing some of this groundbreaking, I would say, health advances that can help you with your health. So you have to go on a research and go down your own path. I know for me, I do that all the time. I'm researching different things when it comes to my health. Like, okay, well, let me tell my doctor about this. And I know a lot of times we think, okay, my doctor knows everything, but there's some procedures and there's some medicines that your doctor may not be aware of. So when it comes to your health, you have to advocate for yourself.
Okay. What type of, educational background does one have to have in order to advance within clinical research?
So this is the thing, any background.
Okay.
I have a bachelor's degree in biology. My husband's in clinical research. He has a marketing, he has an MBA. And so clinical research, a lot of people they think that it's just science, but clinical research has every role that you can think of. They function as any other industry. So project management, data management. If you have a healthcare background, there are lawyers in clinical research. We need somebody to oversee the contract. So there's so many different backgrounds. And my sister also is in clinical research. And right now she doesn't have a bachelor's degree. She's working on her bachelor's degree, but there are data entry positions that you can have. So you don't need a degree to be involved in clinical research. A lot of times people who are medical assistants, you can become a clinical research coordinator. So it's not necessary to have a degree in the industry. And because there's a shortage of clinical research professionals, the industry is understanding that this degree doesn't determine whether or not you will succeed in the clinical research industry.
Okay. So are there schools that are actually just focused on providing education for clinical research, or like you said, is just any degree can actually navigate into this space?
Yeah, there are some clinical research degrees. For example, North Carolina Central University, they have a degree in clinical research. Durham Tech, they have an associate degree in clinical research. And then there's other programs as well that have certificates. There's not a lot of schools and universities that have degrees in clinical research. So that's why, your degree is not a determining factor on whether or not you can get into the clinical research industry.
Interesting. In your opinion, tell me, what do you think holds people back from accomplishing their goals?
Fear. A lot of times people are afraid. You're afraid if someone says no. But I always tell people, what if they say yes? And you only need one yes. So no matter how many rejections, don't let it stop you from reaching your goals. Really dig deep and find out what your passion is. What do you like doing? And really start from there. And I would just encourage people to focus on your own path. And because a lot of times if you look at what other people are doing and compare yourself to other people, then sometimes it can paralyze you where you don't make a move. So as long as you are putting one foot in front of the other and just making steps towards your goals, and that's really necessary in order to be successful in any industry.
Do you actually practice today in clinical research? Because I know you're a full-time entrepreneur as well, and you have a business, but are you still practicing?
I am not. My
Okay.
husband gave me a nice little motivational push to tell me that I could be an entrepreneur. If it was up to me, I still probably would be working in the clinical research industry, but he believed in me before I thought that I could do this full time. So I'm extremely grateful. That's why it's important to have a positive and motivating spouse as well. So just from him being able to believe in me, that helped me to step out on faith and start BWICR full time.
So tell us more about the company and the impact that your company is making.
So Black Women in Clinical Research through LinkedIn. LinkedIn, I tell people, is a gold mine for networking. We have members that are located all over South Africa. I even connected members in Spain. 2 members happened to reach out to me and told me that they are a Black woman in clinical research in Spain, and I was able to connect them. So our reach is outside of the U.S., and I'm grateful for these connections and to be able to impact people's lives. There are a lot of people that reach out to me in Canada, all over the world, who tell me that they are having the same problem with trying to get into clinical research or advancing their career. So I, share this information with people. There are some organizations out there that are charging thousands of dollars to learn about clinical research, but that's not the case with Black women in clinical research. We really want to help, and we want to be able to be that resource for individuals who are looking for a new opportunity or to advance their career. We also offer speaking opportunities to our members because we know that our voice is important, and it's also important to be at conferences where people can see us and hear from us as well.
Yeah, I love that. So, and then the impact is basically having a collective community where they can vibe, learn from each other, become a resource network, and create opportunities is what I'm understanding, right?
Yes, creating leaders.
So,
yes.
You said something. You mentioned that it took you forever to get accepted for an intern. You mentioned that, a lot of other people that look like you, they struggle with that as well. Are the requirements just like overly high? Do you have to be like you mentioned before, like a 4.0 educational candidate in order to get in? Or is it just lack of education is preventing people from being able to just fully advance within it?
So the clinical research industry, a lot of the companies want you to have 2 years of experience. Okay. And so that was the problem that I had. How do I gain clinical research experience if no one hires me? Sure. Where are these entry level roles? And a lot of times, even though they would say the roles were entry level, they would still want you to have experience, which right. I would think that's not entry level. So what I also realized, just looking at my challenges with getting into the clinical research industry, my resume was not equipped to enter into the clinical research industry. So not having transferable skills and listed on my resume and not showing the recruiters and the hiring managers how my resume can fit with the role that they're hiring for. So even if I don't have this direct experience, this is some experience that I have that will translate into this role. So once I was able to look at my resume and see how can I add these transferable skills, then the doors started opening. And so I also realized the same thing with my members with looking at their resumes. And that's why we started doing resume review services to make sure that their resume displayed their skills and that they were able to land this role.
Right. So what I'm picking up on, sometimes it's not necessarily the experience. A lot of it has to do with how you position yourself, how you tell your story on paper. And that's what your organization is able to help do as well. Craft a compelling intro for an applicant to be able to tell their story and the skills that they've already obtained and that they can have that are transferable that they can use within clinical research. Is that what I'm understanding?
Yes. So, and we also, with interview prep as well. Some people have interview anxiety. I know I do. So right. Once I started, utilizing our own career services for myself, it helped open the doors for me as well. So thinking of the interview not as a test, but thinking of it as an opportunity to share my journey, who I am, and why I'm interested in this role, and even why I deserve this position as well. And also asking them questions about the company, making sure that it's a good fit.
Right.
You can't get in an interview and don't ask any questions. So you definitely want to make sure that you are asking questions and seeing, could I work here?
I love that. We're preparing candidates both on paper, but also through opportunities where we can sit down and we can coach them. We can do mock interviews. We can fully prepare them, build up their energy level, build up their motivation, build up their just natural skill set of being able to interview. Even if you are someone who is not, extrovert, you're introverted, you can still connect with you and you're able to help them out as well. So what advice would you give other professionals interested in joining the hustle? Meaning they're interested in navigating through this clinical space or they're interested in connecting with your services.
So I would tell people to reach out to us on LinkedIn, Instagram. We are on a lot of the social media channels. We also have an app for BWICR. So if you are interested in resources, we're sharing different training opportunities as well. We're talking about different, I guess I need to explain. Within the BWICR app, there are topics. So if you want to be a project manager, there's a topic. If you want to be a data manager, there's a topic for that. So we are really making sure within the BWICR app that you also are able to connect with people who share your same interests as well. So it really just depends on how much you want to be connected. If you want to connect on LinkedIn, or if you want more resources, then you can connect on the BWICR app.
You shared a lot about, the process for clinical research, for the path to navigate that. You also talked about, your speaking engagements. You talked about your Facebook group that has, 10,000 plus, and then across LinkedIn plus, you have over 20,000 engaged people that are interested in the clinical professional. You also talked about how your company is also global. You're connecting with people in Spain and other countries, including Canada. I'm interested in knowing how do you separate your personal life from your professional life, because there's a lot going on.
So I don't know if I can really separate it because my husband works with me. So we're, clinical research is a part of my personal life and professional life. So wherever I go, I am a walking clinical research advertisement, whether it's church. I have on my clinical research apparel. So I haven't done a great job of really separating it because it is a part of my personal life. So, but I think that has really helped me and also has helped my family as well with learning about clinical research. So I'm okay with it intertwining. Okay. But, sometimes I do take a whole month off in December.
Okay, that's nice.
Even though I try to, but I still get messages.
Sure.
I try and do something where it's, because I'm working all the time.
Right.
So I try and do something where I can take time away. My birthday's in December. That's usually the only time kind of where there's not as much clinical research going on.
Okay, so we get to celebrate the whole month of December. I love it.
My wedding anniversary. So I just figured, let me just go ahead and then it's slow during December. So.
Okay. So outside of work, because we already know you're in demand, but outside of work, is there passion projects or things that you work on that are separate from what you shared with me that you would like to share with the rest of the world?
So I didn't really talk about my passion for telling college students about careers in clinical research. And so I'm going back to Clark Atlanta University this month to tell students, this is my first time in person that I am talking just about clinical research with the biology students. So I did hear that some of the students have lost hope. And so I want to bring that hope back to students and let them know that careers in clinical research is possible. So that is something that I'm very passionate about. Going to the high schools, going to the middle schools. I even went to an elementary school and told the STEM students about careers in clinical research, and just seeing their eyes light up because they've never heard about this. And, within STEM, they talk about everything else, but clinical research is not a part of a lot of STEM conversations. So just being able to tell the future generation about clinical research so that we can make a shift when it comes to the clinical research industry in the future.
I love that. So you're reaching all the way back to, we said middle school age, and then up from there. So we're trying to connect with them while their mind is still developing so they can navigate and create opportunities for themselves. That's pretty dope. I appreciate the work that you're doing. I would love for you to share with everybody else. Tell us again, how do we get in contact with you across all your social channels?
So if you look up Black Women in Clinical Research on LinkedIn, if you look up Danielle S. Mitchell on LinkedIn as well, you'll be able to connect with me. We are on Instagram, TikTok, you name it, I think we're on it. But if you do BWICR 20, then you will be able to find us on Instagram and TikTok as well. And so, we are planning different events in different cities. So if you are interested, follow us and come. I would love to meet you.
That is awesome. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Health Hustle Chronicles, where the grind meets growth in the world of healthcare. As you know, this ain't your typical podcast because I bring you some of the freshest, some of the livest guests from around the world. Craig. And today we had our very own Danielle Mitchell. She's dubbed the clinical research queen. A little bit more insight into Danielle's background. Danielle, she's a seasoned clinical research professional dedicated to fostering diversity and driving essential changes in one of the most pivotal industries. With a wealth of experience, she has significantly impacted the professional landscape by championing inclusivity and broadening opportunities through visionary initiatives, Black women in clinical research, Black men in clinical research, and minorities in clinical research. Danielle's efforts have opened doors for countless professionals and cultivating a supportive and empowering community within the clinical research sector. Under her leadership, these organizations have grown exponentially, boasting a combined membership of over 15,000 active participants. Her work was rooted in the mission to educate, empower, and support, and help Black women, men, and minorities thrive in clinical research industry. Through BWICR, BMICR, MICR, Danielle provides a platform for members to enhance their knowledge, expand their networks, and access invaluable resources tailored to their unique challenges as well as their aspirations. She is committed to creating a more inclusive environment where diversity is celebrated and every individual's contributions are recognized. Danielle's dedication extends beyond professional development. She emphasizes the importance of personal growth and well-being. Her initiatives include comprehensive support systems addressing mental health, leadership development, and work-life balance, ensuring members are equipped to excel professionally as well as personally. Driven by a passion for equity and a vision for a more diverse and dynamic clinical research industry, Danielle Mitchell continues to inspire and lead change. Her unwavering commitment to her mission has established her as a transformative figure in the field, paving the way for future generations of diverse clinical professionals. Danielle, I'm going to open up the mic, leave it to you. Any parting words that you would like to leave the listeners as well as the viewers?
I just want to say to everyone to follow your passions. Never give up on your hopes, your dreams, whatever it may be. Don't let anyone tell you no. No is not the final answer.
Love that. Nice. I love having you on the show. Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick.